Hey everybody, welcome back to the Maverick channel. Those that are new to this channel, we talk about cryptocurrencies and especially real-world use cases of cryptocurrencies and digital currencies because this technology actually needs to be useful for us. So today I'm going to talk about Fetch.ai, which is one of the companies that I like because they deal in AI machine learning and they're really trying to democratize the way we see movement of data in this space. So guys, stay tuned for the whole video. Guys, the first thing we want to start with, subscribe and like, because that goes a very long way towards the support of this channel, especially during bear markets. But what I want to talk about today is going to be a brief video. This is their Twitter, Fetch.ai, but it's interesting what they've done here because they're constantly pursuing decentralization. So there's this proposal that they sent through, which is the Fetch.ai mainnet upgrade. Completed August 23rd, 2022, which is pretty amazing what they've done. And then there's a proposal here, which is the proposal Fetch.ai is this. There's not a lot of information here because the purpose of this proposal is essentially to say that it's called FIP003, set minimum validator commission to 5%. So as you know, in a proof of stake network, you need there are delegators and validators. And as a delegator, you delegate your stake to a validator. And then this validator helps to keep the network secure. So these are like decentralized nodes. The way you see Bitcoin when you're trying to mine Bitcoin, that helps to decentralize the network because of the hashing power and all those kinds of things. So similarly, in a proof of stake network, you need to have many validators so that you decentralize the decision-making process regardless of the technology. So that is the purpose of this. Having a 5% commission set on a minimum of each validator is extremely important because if a validator sets a 0% commission, it means more people will be incentivized, even bots that maybe someone set up an account or bots that hold Fetch. So they'll be incentivized to delegate to that validator who has a 0% commission because the validator isn't taking any rewards for themselves and all the rewards are maximized to the delegators, which is quite strange because something that's free doesn't normally grow. So in this case, you're looking at a validator who's concentrating all the tokens to themselves and hence they're not incentivized to help the network because they have a large stake of the network. And normally some of these validators don't even help with decision making. In the past, they were mostly exchanges. So the idea of a 5% minimum commission is that to set that standard that there's no one validator that sort of can dominate the space, especially if you have new users that are just looking out and they're like, oh, this guy is charging 0 commission rate, so let's delegate to them because I'll maximize on my returns. So that is the essence of this. It seems like a very short proposal, but it does a lot to do with decentralization, which is obviously something extremely important as we move forward in the crypto space, as we've seen with many companies, over leveraging themselves, some overreaching and things like that. So this is a very important proposal. So you can see this on mintscan.io/fetch.ai/proposals/10. So current turnout is a 50.14%. The result of governance will only be applied when quorum is more than 40% of the total votes. So the current status hence becomes a pass. So this proposal may pass when the voting period is over because the current quorum is more than 40% and they're more than 50% of the vote. So it's a tentative vote, but it's tending towards the yes. So now guys, one of the main news events that has happened in the past, like the crypto space has been extremely quiet, but when you see some of the companies like Fetch.ai, like them or not because of how quiet they are, but normally when people are quiet, it means they're building. And that's why we got dropped this tremendous news here, which is Gaia X, guys. Those that have heard of Gaia X, this is a company based in Europe that's dealing with data democratization to allow to enable or to create an environment where different autonomous vehicles or electric vehicles or devices that can talk to themselves to allow them to communicate with each other in a decentralized way. So I can give an example, for example, Tesla. If Tesla has servers and their cars only share data between their cars because Tesla becomes the centralized body that controls that data sharing, which means another company that's not Tesla may have to buy that data off them. So what these guys are doing is let's create a decentralized system where different autonomous vehicles can plug in and be able to share this very much needed data, similar to like the weather industry, where different countries, regardless of their disarguments, they have to share this weather data because it helps with flight movements, supply chains, and all things like that. So this is Gaia X, which was a consortium formed by Bosch Global, a multi-billion-dollar company, in consortium with Fetch.ai and other European companies. And if you read this article, you'll sort of get intuitive nature of some of these things you hadn't even thought about. Do these cars, was there a centralized body that actually is there a centralized body actually controls the data sharing between vehicles, or these autonomous vehicles that are coming up, or machines? And sort of putting into perspective how important the democratization of this data is, especially as it grows, because it's going to help the automotive industry grow, which is going to really help the space to expand. So what the article says here, what I wanted to show you at the end here, this is some of the companies that Bosch Global has gone into partnership with as regards to this kind of project, because it's very labor intensive and it's very capital intensive and also very technically intensive. So Robert Bosch GmbH, Martano Information Communication, Denso Automotive, Deutschland, Continental, most of these are European companies, most of you know them, like Continental, Wobcom, and such. So at the end here, you see Fetch.ai Research and Development GmbH. You also see here Big Chain DB, which is called Ocean Protocol. So you see the kinds of partnerships they have. You can see Airbus here. So they're looking at airline industries. They're looking at companies that are based on the blockchain side. They're also looking at other companies that are based around data sharing. So to get a brief understanding of what this is, I may not read the whole article, but the title of the article is Gaia X, which is that consortium. So Gaia X for Move ID. So we have a Move ID here, which is a decentralized identity type of thing, because we know Fetch.ai has been sort of trying to pursue this with Mobix and with some of these other companies that are focused on parking and transportation within urban cities. So Gaia X for Move ID project develops basis for secure mobile data exchange. So you're looking at this data that moves around. So a secure way to move this data, a decentralized way to move this data. So an important prerequisite for the next generation of cars, the publicly funded Gaia X for Move ID project is developing a standard for communication between vehicles and their environments. So standards are a prerequisite for the electrified, automated, and connected mobility of the future. So the European Gaia X project is creating a decentralized data infrastructure as a foundation for the digital business models. So guys, you can understand how important this is, because for this space to grow, you actually need to democratize this data. I'm not going to read this article. I'm going to post it in the link of this video. If you want to get more information about this, I urge you to actually read this, because they talk about, for example, I can show you here, connectivity of 4 digital services across board, an integrated and transparent system architecture for the exchange of data on the road that incorporates different products and players simply isn't available today. So while it's true that some companies out there already offer services, those services are tailored for specific applications, vehicles, or customer groups, explains Peter Bosch. So we're looking at companies sort of targeting specific groups, maybe within a specific niche, or because they know the people that might fit that particular narrative. But we're looking at, for example, Bitcoin democratizes the financial layer where everyone has access to it, regardless of your status in the community, regardless of what you look like. So essentially, this is what it does, democratizing that movement data, regardless of the country, regardless of the company, regardless of the individual, regardless of what you do, you actually have access to this automated data. And because that is achieved, it means different countries and different companies are incentivized to pursue this new automotive electrified automation kind of narrative when it comes to transportation, because they know they have reliable data from other countries that might have similar infrastructure with them, which is extremely important for the growth of this space. So vehicles are becoming marketplaces as well, as we know, because they're becoming more electrified and things like that. And you can implement applications within vehicles. They're very smart. You can upgrade them as far as software identity is concerned, which means Move ID having a decentralized identity within this vehicle and having this data shared in a decentralized manner. It means that the owner, at least of the vehicle, has some level of control of their data to some extent. And it's not just sold. Maybe they could also monetize it. If you look at Ocean Protocol, it's a platform where you can actually monetize your data. So I'll give you an example. You have a fleet of vehicles. These vehicles are collecting data. You have trucks. So these trucks are transporting agricultural goods. And these trucks keep collecting data about the routes they use whenever they break down and things like that. So you can actually monetize this data and sell it, because maybe someone else wants to start a similar business, but they don't know some of the problems they'll encounter. So when they buy this data, they kind of have a rough estimate of what it's going to cost them to run these electrified or automated vehicles that are doing this transportation kind of thing. So in short, that's what they're trying to do. All right, guys, I hope you learned something. I urge you to read the article and try to understand better. Look into Fetch.ai, look into Ocean Protocol with their decentralized marketplaces. Also look into Bosch and why they're sort of developing this economy of scale, or economy of scale around these automated vehicles, automated machines. economy of things rather. All right, guys, I hope you learned something. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.